Well, welcome back to Teaching Effective Practice Strategies 2. This is Eric. He is a rising 8th grader, or I should say 8th grader as of Monday, here in Cary, North Carolina. So we're going to share two pieces with you, and as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I try to make these very active and real video demonstrations. They are not polished pieces. These are pieces that Eric just started. The first one he's going to show you, he just started at the beginning of the summer. So we're actively working through how to practice to get it to a final polish point. I think that's important for all of us as teachers to know what the process is as we're going along. So Eric is going to play just the minuetto section of the Sonata in D major of Beethoven, Opus 10, number 3, and he's just going to show you where he is right now. So Eric, take off. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's where we are in 8-9 weeks since June. This is August. So Eric, what was the most technically challenging moment where you go, oh no, I don't think I have it?
I think it was around here to here.
Okay, those are the chords at the top of, at the bottom of measure 38 and into measure 39. I agree with you that there's some things we're going to do with that in a minute. But I want to talk about something at measure 17, and we have worked hard on this. Measures 17 through 24 have that fugal entrance of the bass, and then a tenor alto, and then a soprano. Now I'm going to talk to you about forward note crawl, which we haven't exactly talked about. And if I had a pencil here, I would write F and C. And what that means is to get these little 8th note passages clean, we practice adding a note, adding a note, adding a note. We call it the forward note crawl. Now what you have to know about the forward note crawl is that you're not going to land on the last note of however many you've combined. Why would that be, do you think?
Because you wouldn't, the last note you let off on it.
You're going to lead off to the next one. So if you start putting a bunch of accents and lands in there, then when you go to play it smooth, you're going to have worked in accents you don't intend. So I'm going to leave this bottom F sharp out and start here. Now, it's like add a note, but you're going to do it in rhythm, and you're going to do it, remember we've talked about rhythmic circles?
Yep.
Which we just discussed on the video. Rhythmic circle means when you do it, you're going to be in rhythm. Sounds like Jaws, or is it the other way? Yeah, okay, so, all right, so you're going to do this one to this one. Ready? Now, you're going to let go of that because you're going to pretend that you're going on to the F sharp. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, like that. That's it. All right, now you're going to go ba, ba, ba. Whoops, don't get rhythm funny. 1, 2, ba, ba. Let go of that F sharp. Here we go. All right, now you're going to go to the G this time. Get it? Da, da, da. Now let's do it in rhythm though. Ba, 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 ba. That's right. Ba, 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 ba. Now you're going to add the F sharp. Here we go. That's it. 2 times is plenty. Now you're going to add. Now here's that little tricky spot where the thumb comes in, and that's the problem he's having, is getting that thumb under. Here we go. That's it. And then, good. Yes. And yes. Perfect. Now, you would do that, and that's 1 unit. Then you would take your right hand and you would do this. And then you take your, well, and this one comes in with the left here. So you've to trade hands. This is the middle one. You would do it the same way, and then you do this one the same way. Now, that may take you, how long do you think that would take you to run it?
10, 15 minutes? 5, 10.
Really? How long do you think you were just doing this?
2 minutes?
2 minutes. So 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 6.
8.
Well,
5 to 10.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be really 10. I think it's going to be more like a minute apiece once you get good at it.
Yeah.
Now, that 4 minutes is worth it. What if you did that once every other day? Do you think that that would start to smooth that out? Okay. Now, so you can do that, the forward note crawl. What other practice, we're talking about these 4 between measures 17 and 24. What else could you do? There's one other thing that just jumps out at me. Once you've done that, now what could you do on a different day?
You would do one voice and then the other voice and then put those 2 together.
You could. That's what we did when we first learned
Yeah.
it. What would happen if you back up practiced this first, then backed up to here, then backed up to here, then backed up to here? So he's starting at measure 23 as hands together. Remember, you're going to go to the downbeat. Play that. Okay, good. Do it again. Let the left hand sing out. Ready? Here we go. Good. Now, let's say he does that 3 or 4 times. Now he's going to back up to the measure 18, 19, 20, 21 on the E. He's got the right hand voice. Here we go. No, then you're going to go on. You're going to add it because you're backing up. Now do that again. Don't worry about that. Just start here. Don't worry about trying to add those 2 in. You're going to pick those up when you get over here. Okay? Good. Now do that again because that started to make some sense. All right. Don't forget, you're always going to go to the downbeat. Now you're going to go to this one and just pick up with the right hand. Don't worry about these 2 guys. You're going to pick that up there. Okay, but this is B. Yeah, no. Okay. Now, when you're home, you want to make that a natural, I think. This C, go ahead and put the sharp in. Once you've missed it twice, I had a professor once say, once you've missed it twice, just put it in, rather than fight with it. All right, last one. You're going to come over here now. Good. So, do you see that between backup practice and forward note crawl, you're hitting it both ways? You're going forward note crawl, backup practice. I bet if you hit forward note crawl one day, backup practice the next day, back and forth, that would give you 3 times each in a 6-day run. You'd have that to where it just didn't sound confident. Like you knew what you were doing, but I'm not sure I get all these sharps. What do you think of that? And that's 2 things that we discussed on the video that you could use, right? Now let's go over to your chords where you felt badly about this. Now how could you practice that? To fix it.
2 measure sections.
There's an idea, 2 by 2 in your so that's 2 blocks by 2, right? Okay, so let's pick it up right. Is that right? Right there?
Yes.
Okay, so we're at measure 37 for those of you following. Okay, but you're always going to go to the downbeat because otherwise you're making seams you don't want. You want to go over the beat always. Try that again. Perfect. Again. Okay, now did you do this at home?
Yeah, sometimes.
What does sometimes mean?
Every other day.
All right, okay, it's just a matter of time. Now, do this next one. Ya da da dee da to here. Ready? Again. And then finish it out. Okay, now you know what I'm going to tell you about here. We're at measure 41. For those of you following the score, he's got a mix of black and white keys. What is the one rule we've talked about black and white mix?
Stay inside.
Yeah, and you're not. You're coming out for the white key, and then you're getting lost coming back in. See this white right here, all these whites? You were literally out here. You were out here. Then you have to get in, and you're going to hit the wrong note. So you want to make sure you stay catty corner. Right? So, but what would be, remember we talked about the forward note crawl here. You could do a forward chord crawl there and get the same result. Right? So you're doing backup practice going forward chord crawl going this way, backup practice going that way. Right? Does that make sense? Now, one other thing, I'm going to jump back to measure 17. We talked about double notes in the magic 9. This is the perfect place. Or then this one. Once every other day on that would really, that's another way to approach it. What are we trying to do? We're going to get past the notes quicker this way. All right, so I've given you some ideas between now and your lesson next week as to how to maneuver those to get them all the way up, because you're a little bit gun shy with it, right? Okay, because we want to play that in a later fall recital. Now, we're going to talk about what to do with the very first piece, and we're going to talk about the Mendelssohn Opus 30, number 6, the Venetian Boat Song. This happens to be one of the North Carolina state pieces for festival. And I want to talk about starting at measure 6, the pickup to this. He has never seen, I handed it to him before vacation, but he's done nothing on it. All right, so what's the very first thing you're going to do with this piece?
Put in the sections.
Put in sections. What would you do? Like, where would you put the first section?
Measure at the end of measure 4. Possibly to measure,
yeah, this is the 4 measures. It makes sense, but this is also still kind of part of the introduction. So I would do that. That's not wrong, but then you're going to pick it up here at measure 5 to give you that lead in. All right, now, so you've done the measures. You're going to go home and do that with sections. And I always tell my students, always use a pencil. We can always erase it. All right, now, what are you going to do? Let's forget the introduction for a minute and talk about what we're going to do with this piece, because now you're going to go home and actually practice it for me. What are you going to do? Let's talk about these 3 lines up to the bar, to the double hollow line to the beginning of the second section. What are we going to do with this section this week?
Gesture practice, hands alone first.
Okay, so there's nothing wrong with that. Let's just read, for the argument's sake, let's just read the first 2 lines of the right hand to here. Okay, that's an E sharp. E sharp, G sharp. Good. Now, remember, you're going to hold that E sharp out. Now, I want you to remember a couple of things from the beginning. I know I'm putting you on the spot here. Read this. All right, now, make sure your arm is guiding. I'll do it here. Here, don't sit and stick 3 notes. Walk it in. Look, my arm is carrying me. Another thing we failed to do was take a moment. You had some wrong notes, only because I don't think you stopped to say, oh, it's 3 sharps, right? Does that make sense? All right, so let's do that one more time here. Ba, ba, bee. Good, okay. Now that would be one section, and then you would take the next one to here. So if you had an introduction, this and this, there's 3 sections up to measure 20, through measure 20 to 21, right? All right, now let's talk about this pesky left hand. This reminds me of something else you practiced. What are you gonna do to put this, to work this? Think of some of the practice strategies we've used before. It's a busy left hand.
Blocking?
You could. You could. Now, blocking would be great because you've got all these double thirds and everything. But you know what I would do? Let me show you. You stand up and stand behind me so you're not blocking the camera. All right, so one thing I would do on this, if I were doing it, start here. You know what I would do? I would take the bottom note of the left hand of each of those sets as number 1. right? Now you're making music, you're doing hands together, but you're not getting caught up on this, right? There's another whole thing that you can do with that. Now let's talk about that. But if I were you, it would be great if next week you could come back and play to measure 20, right hand melody, with just the beat 1, beat 2 of the 6/8 time, with just the bottom note of the left hand. That's it. You've got your underpinning. And one thing, you can look at it all day, but when I played it, I went, oh, I go F sharp to C sharp to F sharp to C sharp, all the way to here, right? That's going to be a big memory aid when you finally get down to putting that together. What's the benefit of playing it that way? Why don't I tell you, look, just pick up here and just start reading it.
You're not playing it note by note, and you're putting it in a phrase, and the rest of the left hand is just harmony. And
right.
You're just picking out the important part.
Right. Now, you mentioned blocking. So back up behind me again. Here's the next phase. You did that. Now, what you could do is and move up to this and add your notes here. And it's not important that you say, oh, I got to add that C. No, you don't. Just play what comes naturally to you right under your hand. You're just getting this, right? And fingering isn't going to be exactly what you're going to do, but you're getting that harmony in your head. And if you did that and that was all you did in a week, and you followed up with section B the next week and in 3 weeks, and you could play it beautifully just like that, you've done a ton. Then we can go back and talk about all kinds of ways to work this sweep, right? With the arm guide and all of that. And you can even start working that before that with just practicing the left hand alone. But if you were going to do this in next week, whatever day I see you, you would do the right hand with the bottom note of each beat, and then add your chord on the second one, whatever you can reach without having to worry about, oh, I've got to do this or this. That kind of defeats it. You would have the groundwork for us to fill in that left hand correctly. And you would already know what the melody is. It would be pretty. We know what the song is about, the piece is about, don't we? And we're not getting hung. If I have you play all of the notes in the right and all of the notes in the left all at once, you're going to be so busy worrying about what goes where and how it connects, you're not going to be thinking anything about what the piece is about or the melody and all of that. Okay? I know a lot of people say, oh, well, learn the notes first, but by then your ears are shut off. You're just trying to, and you have no gesture because you're going so slowly and getting so hung up in the notes that you're not able to make a feel of where the notes are going. Does that make sense? So your job is to get this first part to 20 with those, okay? So I thought it was important today to talk about a brand new piece as well as something he's working on, to talk about those sections and how we would do the very first melody with something in the left hand. In this piece, it's something in the left hand. It would be a different texture if we were talking about a fugue or multiple voices, right? We'd be doing something different, right? Okay. All right, so I would like to thank Eric for being a great sport today and putting himself on the line out here to play for you. And we're going to move on. At the end of this session, you now have 2 videos completed of many of the practice strategies. I want to remind you to check the outlining video that is out. That is another whole genre, and that is an introductory video into outlining, which we're going to build on as the weeks go by. Please do me a favor. If you enjoyed this video, please press subscribe. That would really help me out a lot and get my videos out there quicker so that more teachers can see what we're doing here in the studio. So have a great end of summer, and I hope to meet some of you individually soon. Thank you.